A warning for viewers, some details may be triggering in our next story. Sean Diddy Combs' defense lawyer says the government badly exaggerated its evidence against the music mogul. He says prosecutors twisted Combs' swinger lifestyle, drugs, and threesomes into a racketeering conspiracy. He spent several hours today trying to convince the New York jury to exonerate his 55-year-old client of charges including sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy. Jurors are expected to begin deliberating Monday. For more on this, we bring in Neama Rahman, president and co-founder of West Coast Trial Lawyers. Neama, the jury has heard from 34 witnesses, including ex-girlfriends, former employees of Combs, male escorts, and federal agents. You've been keeping an eye on this trial. Can you tell us about some of the key testimonies that may stick with the jury?
So we heard from a lot of witnesses, but I think the three most important are the three female victims, Cassie Ventura, Mia, and Jane. And they're the ones that will make or break the sex trafficking charges, because of course the defense is arguing that everything that happened was consensual. And the prosecution is saying that's not true. This wasn't choice. This was fear. And specifically, it was force, fraud, or coercion. So we're talking about physical violence, talking about drugs, financial coercion, threatening to not pay their rent, and holding the sex tapes over their head as extortion if they didn't participate in the freak-offs, hotel nights, or king nights, depending on who you ask.
Does anything stand out that you think may help Combs' defense in the jury's eyes?
The emails and text messages from the victims, their social media posts expressing love and admiration for Combs, that is all very helpful for the defense and bad for the prosecution. The question the jurors are going to ask is, if these women were abused, why did they stay with their abuser for so many years? And why aren't there messages where they said, I don't want to do this? We certainly didn't have them from Cassie or Mia. There were some of those from victim Jane, but again, there were plenty of messages that seemed to indicate that they agreed to participate in these sex acts, including communicating with the sex workers and even paying them. The issue is the freak-offs themselves, the videos of them, we haven't seen, but the defense kept playing them, which leads me to speculate that the woman may have appeared to be enjoying themselves sexually during those videos as well.
What are your thoughts on the judge for this trial?
Judge Subramanian is fantastic, has done a very good job in this case. He doesn't have a whole lot of criminal experience, has a civil background, but presiding over a very high-profile case, probably the biggest case of his career, I think he's done a bang-up job.
It's hard to tell what the jury will decide, but do you think Combs can walk from this without being convicted?
I think it's highly unlikely that Combs walks a free man, and this is why. I think the government has prostitution in the bag. Now, prostitution is by far and away the least serious crime. Even though it carries a 10-year maximum sentence, I would expect Combs to get time served if that's all he's convicted of. So really, this case is probably going to come down to racketeering. I think there's challenges with the sex trafficking for the reasons I mentioned, but racketeering is a serious offense, and if the government is able to secure conviction on racketeering, they may be able to put Combs away for double-digit years in federal prison.
And what if Combs does end up walking away? Do you think he'll be able to resume life normally? He's also facing civil lawsuits.
If Combs walks away, his problems aren't over. People are not going to forget that 2016 hotel surveillance video of him violently beating Cassie Ventura. Some of the graphic and explicit testimony that came out may be part of a swinger's lifestyle, but I think people are going to view Combs very differently. And of course, he has dozens of civil lawsuits that he's facing as well. So he's still in the legal world, even though, of course, we're just talking about civil liability and potentially paying money. He's not out of the woods yet.
We're hearing closing arguments. Can you walk us through what's next?
So what's next is the final part of the case, and that's the rebuttal. Because the government has the burden of proof, they get the last opportunity to speak to the jurors. Then the judge is going to instruct the jurors, and then the jurors are going to start deliberating. I would be surprised if we get a verdict anytime Monday. Tuesday would probably be the earliest, but I would look for a verdict probably around Wednesday. And if we push past Thursday with the 4th of July holiday here in the United States, that's a problem. That means the jurors have been deliberating for a week and are hung are undecided on some or all counts. So we may be looking at a possibility of a mistrial if this continues to the week of July 7th.
That's all the time we have today. Thank you for joining us.
Of course. Thanks for having me as always.